All right, thank you. There we go. Thanks so much for coming here. Good to be here. This is my first time in LA, so be good to me. It's a thrill to be here with Tony. So the book is 12 short stories, all from different perspectives. And I'm going to start out with just read the opening of a story about an artillery unit. The story's called 10 Clicks South. So it's an artillery unit on this large base called a FOB. And the FOBs in Iraq, it's this weird thing where you're in a combat zone, but they're large, they're really secure. And they're like little miniature cities. You know, they have like workout facilities and a chow hall. And there's there'd be some Marines who never left them who were referred to as FOBits. And this story's set on Camp Fallujah. And when I was in Iraq, some Marine had recorded a song set to the tune of Hotel California. And the chorus was, "Welcome to the Hotel Camp Fallujah. You're in a combat zone. Go get your ice cream cone." Which sort of gives you the feel for them. But this unit's an artillery unit, so they're actually engaged. All right. This morning, our gun dropped about 270 pounds of ICM on a smuggler's checkpoint 10 clicks south of us. We took out a group of insurgents, and then we went to the Fallujah Chow Hall for lunch. I got fish and lima beans. I try to eat healthy. At the table, all 9 of us are smiling and laughing. I'm still jittery with nervous excitement over it, and I keep wringing my hands, twisting my wedding band about my finger. I'm sitting next to Vorstadt, our number 1 guy in Jewett, who's on the ammo team with me and Bolander. Vorstadt's got a big plate of ravioli and Pop-Tarts. And before digging in, but the Persian Gulf, did they have Pop-Tarts everywhere?
There were a lot of Pop-Tarts around there.
I was like, what the?
And Nutter Butters, too.
Yeah. It was weird. All right. Before digging in, he looks up and down the table and says, "I can't believe we finally had an arty mission." Sanchez says, "It's about time we killed someone." Sergeant Dietz laughs. Even I chuckle a little. We've been in Iraq 2 months. One of the few artillery units actually doing artillery. Except so far we've only shot illumination missions. The grunts usually don't want to risk the collateral damage. Some of the other guns in the battery had shot bad guys, but not us. Not until today. Today the whole damn battery fired, and we know we hit our target. The lieutenant told us so. Jewett, who's been pretty quiet, asks, "How many insurgents do you think we killed?" "Platoon-size element," says Sergeant Dietz. "What?" says Bolander. "Platoon-size, Sergeant, AQI don't have platoons." "Why do you think we needed the whole damn battery?" says Sergeant Dietz, grunting out the words. "We didn't," says Bolander. "Each gun only fired 2 rounds. I figured they just wanted us all to have gun time on an actual target. Besides, even 1 round of ICM would be enough to take out a platoon in open desert. No way we needed the whole battery. But it was fun." Sergeant Dietz shakes his head slowly, his heavy shoulders hunched over the table. "Platoon-size element," he says again. "That's what it was. And 2 rounds of gun was what we needed to take it out." "But," says Jewett in a small voice, "I didn't mean the whole battery. I meant our gun. How many did our gun, just our gun, kill?" "How am I supposed to know?" says Sergeant Dietz. "Platoon size is like 40, I say. Figure 6 guns to divide, you got 6.6 people per gun." "Yeah," says Bolander. "We killed exactly 6.6 people." Sanchez takes out a notebook and starts doing the math, scratching out the numbers in his mechanically precise handwriting. "Divide it by 9 Marines on the gun, and you, personally, you've killed 0.7-something people today. That's like a torso and a head. Maybe a torso and a leg. That's not funny," says Jewett. "We definitely got more," says Sergeant Dietz. "We're the best shots in the battery." Bolander snorts. "We're just firing on the quadrant deflection the FDC gives us, Sergeant. I mean, we're better shots," says Sergeant Dietz. "Put a round down a rabbit hole at 18 miles. "But even if we were on target," says Jewett. "We were on target," says Sergeant Dietz. "Okay, Sergeant. We were on target. But the other guns, their rounds could have hit first. Maybe everybody was already dead." "I could see that. The shrapnel thudding into shattered corpses, the force of it jerking the limbs this way and that." "Look," says Bolander. "Even if the rounds hit first, it doesn't mean everybody was dead necessarily. Maybe some insurgent had shrapnel in the chest, right? And he's like, Bolander sticks his tongue out and clutches his chest dramatically as if he's dying in an old black and white movie. Then our round comes down, boom, blows his fucking head off. He was dying already, but the cause of death would be blown the hell up, not shrapnel to the chest. Yeah, sure, says Jewett, I guess, but I don't feel like I killed anybody. I think I'd know if I killed somebody. Nah, says Sergeant Dietz, you wouldn't know. Not until you'd seen the bodies. The table quiets for a second. Sergeant Dietz shrugs. It's better this way. Doesn't it feel weird to you, says Jewett, after our first real mission to just be eating lunch? Sergeant Dietz scowls at him and takes a big bite of his Salisbury steak and grins. Gotta eat, he says, with a mouthful of food. It feels good, Vorstadt says. We just killed some bad guys. Sanchez gives a quick nod. It is good. I don't think I killed anybody, says Jewett. Technically, I'm the one that pulled the lanyard, says Vorstadt. I fired the thing, you just loaded. Like I couldn't pull a lanyard, says Jewett. Yeah, but you didn't, says Vorstadt. Drop it, says Sergeant Dietz. It's a crew-serve weapon. It takes a crew. If we used a howitzer to kill somebody back in the States, I say, I wonder what crime they'd charge us with. Murder, says Sergeant Dietz. What are you, an idiot? Yeah, murder, sure, I say, but for each of us, in what degree? I mean, me and Bolander and Jewett loaded, right? If I loaded an M16 and handed it to Vorstadt, and he shot somebody, I wouldn't say I'd killed anyone. It's a crew-serve weapon, says Sergeant Dietz. Crew, serve, weapon, it takes a crew. And I loaded, but we got the ammo from the ASP, I say. Shouldn't they be responsible too, the ASP Marines? Yeah, says Jewett. Why not the ASP? Why not the factory workers who made the ammo? Or the taxpayers who paid for it, says Sergeant Dietz. You know why not? Because that's retarded. The lieutenant gave the order, I say. He'd get it in court, right? Oh, you believe that? You think officers would take the hit? Vorstadt laughs. How long you been in the military? Sergeant Dietz thumps his fist on the table. Listen to me. We're gun 6. We're responsible for that gun. And we just killed some bad guys with our gun. All of us. And that's a good day's work. I still don't feel like I killed anybody, Sergeant, says Jewett. Sergeant Dietz lets out a long breath. It's quiet for a second. Then he shakes his head and starts laughing. Yeah, well, all of us except you, he says.
I'm happy to be here tonight. Phil had asked me to do something with him in New York, and I wasn't able to do it. And so I was happy when he asked about this LA gig. And I think we probably all agree that if the short story thing doesn't work out, he can start that singing career based on that Hotel California thing. So he'll come back to town, start getting gigs at the Whiskey.
They're recording this. That was such an error. Oh, my God.
Are they recording this? No, it's not. No, I first read Phil's book well over a year ago. I was interviewing him for a kind of semi-weekly series that I had on the Daily Beast at the time, talking to people about veterans issues. And Phil was, one of the first people, maybe even the first person I spoke to. And he kind of nervously asked me if I'd read his book, and I said, of course. And I was really blown away by it right away. I've over the last decade, I've read a lot of the work that's come out of the wars, and I always said that I thought it would. There were some great books. Colby Bazell's My War, I love a lot, and there are a number of others, but I kept saying it was going to take a decade or so for one of those books that really grabbed me at least, and really kind of took the war and took it apart and reassembled it in a piece of literature and a piece of art. And of course I was right, and it was. But Phil's book was the first book that really all the pieces were working for me at once, and I didn't until we were hanging out this afternoon. It didn't really hit me as to why, and I think there's something in this collection that's very stereoscopic in terms of how we see the war. So those were just artillery guys, and we see grunts, and we're getting this picture of the war. We're getting all these different perspectives, and it's a real kind of systemic look at it. And I wonder if putting a collection of stories together is always befuddles, I think, the best writers. And what was the process of pulling the collection together, And what are the stories? How did you come up with the stories that you felt like you had to tell